Hey, I'm Skippy.
I'm Yank.
And I'm the tank.
We got the which teams is this? This is the 97-98 Bulls versus the which Heat?
2012, 2013.
All right, well, yeah, we got those teams playing for y'all today, and we're gonna go ahead and cover a few other things besides the game, but feel free to enjoy it. We've always wanted to know which team's better.
Who's gonna win?
You think Miami's gonna win?
Yeah.
Brock, what about you?
I think Rodman's just gonna body LeBron, and that's it. That's all I want to see.
I mean,
That'd be interesting.
we do know that Miami is currently up 4-2. Not bad though. This is so
That's how you play 2K, isn't it? You just set screens and either shoot threes or.
pretty much. All right. Anyways, let's get to the burning topic of the day, the most exciting thing of them all: the NBA trophies. Who wants to go first on that one?
I'll let you go, bro. Or Skip.
Oh, look, the first thing I'll say about it is I just think it's ridiculous that they've named them after players and who is in charge of that decision. I don't really get it. I mean,
Yeah, I would like to know too, like who came up with all this, who was the mastermind, and I kind of want to know now too how the players feel.
and at the end of the day, who's it even for? Like, because we know it's the MVP. We've known these trophies since they were introduced into the league. Like, what's the point of it? It's they did the same thing last year with the conference finals MVP or whatever it was, the Larry Bird, Magic Johnson trophies. And I just,
yeah, that was definitely the
who's that
hint
for?
right there.
Like, I get that you want to pay respect to former legends of the game, but like, doesn't Jordan, isn't his name already over everything? Why does he need another trophy?
Yeah, no, right off the bat, it's all revenue. That's all I see on written all over everything is revenue. I mean, just like you said with the Kobe Bryant thing, coming up with the All Star game to commemorate Kobe, that generated more revenue. People more watched the game and made more because the All Star game hasn't been. Let's be honest, it hasn't been great since good quarterback. So, just right off the bat, Michael Jordan being a PETA sponsored award. I mean, come on. No other award in any other sport sponsored by anybody. When it comes down to speaking, you don't see the Walter Payton Award sponsored by Verizon. It has meaning to it, like you said. And this doesn't have any meaning to it. It's just like a participation.
I mean, a few things I have about it. I mean, once we move on a few years, let's say we just simulate the world a good 40 years from now. I mean, obviously we're all gonna know who Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Wilt Chamberlain is gonna be, but some of these guys on this list, are they gonna be relevant compared to the likes of Steph Curry and all these other huge players that are still playing the game? Are they going to change up the trophies in 20 years from now, or is it still going to be the same thing?
That's another thing you could argue that's already past the point of relevance because they have a George Mikan trophy. I mean, I don't think there's anybody alive really that would listen to our podcast that even knows who George Mikan is. Like, I know who he is because I'm a historian of basketball, but I never watched him play. I couldn't tell you one single stat about him. I just know he was the dude with the glasses that played for Minneapolis.
Yeah.
So he was a Laker before they were even LA. That's how long ago. So I get the point.
I mean, that's before the merger. Even it's not even he's basically not even relevant. He was playing against plumbers. I mean,
and that's the other thing. He's the most improved player. Well, how am I supposed to judge if he improved or not? I never seen him play. I don't know who he was playing against. I'm pretty sure he was the first star of the league.
exactly.
So is that really he's an improvement over nothing.
Yeah.
I just think in naming these awards, they've misstepped a little bit. Like even you could argue with the Sixth Man of the Year, that it's named after John Havlicek. Which in his day, at the start of his career, he was a great sixth man, but he's probably more famously known as a starter. I mean, if you're going to name it Sixth Man of the Year, and also you want to bring it back to being relevant to the modern era, why couldn't you name it after Jamal Crawford? I know he wasn't really a superstar or whatever, but that's his claim to fame for his career, is he was a Sixth Man of the Year, I think, 4 times.
I mean, you could even bring in Manu to that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Someone that was known as being a sixth man for their career. Like, Havlicek revolutionized the position, but for the majority of his career, he wasn't a sixth man.
Yeah, he was. Wasn't he pretty much just right along, like, who was it, Bill Russell for most of his career?
Yeah, well, once Bill Russell started slowing down, he became the leader of those teams. So
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
not
I mean,
really-
also, obviously, I haven't watched a lot of Jerry West clips in my entire lifetime, but I mean, that man's already the logo. I don't know why we need to give him another thing in the league. I don't think he was that good. I don't even know if anyone's that good. So, I mean, shouldn't the Clutch Player Award go to somebody, a clutch guy who isn't necessarily already the logo?
But also, like, clutch to me means you win. Jerry West is famous for not winning. That's
Yeah, I would
one
argue.
of his. Like, he was a clutch player. There's plenty of clips that you can bring up of him hitting game winners and stuff, but he wasn't the ultimate.
Yeah,
And
I
I
would
mean-
argue Ray Allen should have been the clutch player of the award, named after him.
I mean, if we're going on the cash grab idea of how things are going, I mean, shouldn't it be a guy like, Kobe Bryant, who's probably would make a lot more money towards the league if there was a Kobe Bryant award, and it would have a lot more meaning to players, especially those who looked up to Kobe.
Didn't they do that with the All-Star game? I thought that's what the award is.
Yeah, he's already got the name.
I mean,
thing.
I would change the whole All-Star award up. I mean, cash grab the clutch player.
We
Or,
go
I mean-
back to it though. Like, how do you even judge who's the clutch player? Like, I'm interested to see how they're actually going to do that. I mean, what sort of metric do you even use? Like, I was looking today for the last 2-minute statistics to sort of put together my own list of like who would be winning it in the quarterway of the season. There's not even a way to tell.
If you want to talk about the most buzzer beaters in history, it goes to Jordan. He has compiled the most buzzer beaters.
Who?
Michael.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, but you can't give that man the MVP and the clutch player.
No, but he should have been clutch. 9 game winners during his 15-year career. And they're the most memorable. Like, yeah.
I don't know. Like, if I come back to think about it, like, the only other player I could think of naming it after is Reggie Miller. Like, I
Reggie
remember
Miller's
him hitting a whole bunch of game winners, like including the famous one against New York when he's just sinking points in the last bloody like 10 seconds or whatever it is.
What about Joe Johnson? I know
Yeah, another good one.
one.
I mean, obviously, if we're going on, like, the past eras of guys, obviously there's a few that we can't put in, but I mean, a guy like LeBron should even be considered for this.
Well, so, according to the stats right here, Jordan has 9 buzzer beaters, which is the most in NBA history. Then you got Kobe and Joe Johnson with 8. LeBron and Paul Pierce with 7. Iguodala, Arenas, Wade, Vince Carter, and Kevin Durant with 5. So that's a clutch moment.
Where's Jerry West on that list?
Nowhere. He never made a clutch fucking score.
Then why is he the clutch player?
Because, like you said, they're just saturating the whole watering hole, man. They're just giving it some popularity. Because Do I think Hakeem Olajuwon should be a Defensive Player Award? Should he have it named after him, or should Shaq? Shaq, to me, was the most feared man for his, for his time. You couldn't do shit to him.
Yeah.
You could look at the argument though that like during the '95 finals, Shaq couldn't guard Hakeem, and Hakeem dominated Shaq. Well, really, they both couldn't guard each other. But like, that's the only reason I can think of why they would even bother naming these awards after people, is to start up this sort of discussion like we're having between everybody. That's literally the only logical reason I could think about it. Like, I don't understand why they've done it.
Game that we could name an award after and give credits.
Yeah, I just don't understand it. Like,
to our point, though, I mean, okay, what do you really look for a defensive player? Because damn, Rodman was dominant for his time, and he won how many Defensive Player of the Year awards?
Yeah.
Surely a couple. I don't know.
Yeah, let's find out.
I mean, it's hard to beat out Hakeem for that award, though. It's a big name to verse.
But if you bring it back to modern play, if Hakeem was playing in the modern NBA, there's probably not a chance that he's Defensive Player of the Year, because you reckon he could slide his feet and guard Curry on the perimeter? No, not a chance. And that's what defense relies upon.
Yeah.
If you're a big man.
I'm actually surprised by these stats for Dennis Rodman. So he only had 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards in 1990-91. But he made the Defensive All-Team, the Defensive All-Defensive First Team 7 times. And he was a 7-time NBA rebounding champion. So that's the accolade you got to be in defensive play.
Yeah. Personally speaking, I'm sticking with Hakeem on that one.
I still go with Shaq.
I just like it to be called the Defensive Player of the Year award.
I mean, I think we would all like to keep all these awards normalized. I mean, the Clutch Player of the Year award, I mean, I'm very excited to see what they do with it, but I don't understand it at this moment in time. I mean, how are you supposed to judge how a player is clutch? I mean, it's not like we get a buzzer beater every week.
Yeah, like what defines clutch now?
Like, yeah, is it like winning games, or is it,
or is
fourth
it like
quarter points?
Right now? Yeah, like what AD's doing right now. If he wasn't scoring all those points, would that matter type thing?
It's got to be like either fourth quarter stats or buzzer beaters, I'm assuming. So I'm going to assume it's not buzzer beaters. I'm assuming it's going to be fourth quarter stats. Like, who could put up the most fourth quarter stats and maybe have like a good plus minus? That might be.
And you can't even do that in this day and age with all these stars, taking time off.
But even at the end of the day, like, it'll probably be like most of the NBA awards. They never really rely on stats or anything. It's voted by the media. So it's, oh man, they'll go, oh, who was clutch? Oh, I remember fucking Luka doing something in the last couple of minutes a few times. We'll just give it to him.
Yeah,
that's going to be how these awards work. It's like when you're going through the current, like, who's leading the MVP conversation. Jokic is still balling out, but because he's won it the last couple of years, we can't give it to him again. So he's literally not even in the conversation this year. Same as Giannis wasn't in it last year.
I think,
because they want to protect certain people's legacies.
Where is he? I think Jokic is like fourth. I don't think he's not out of it, but he's not where he obviously should be.
Well, it's just I've been reading, I read a lot of articles, and it's the same names being thrown up towards the top. You got Luka, Tatum, Giannis, Curry, and now they're starting to throw Durant into the conversation, Zion into the conversation, and Jokic's just like an afterthought. I'm not saying he's not there, part of the conversation, but they're just, he's having a good season, but he's not going to win it. And I think
number one this year is Tatum, followed by Giannis, followed by Luka, followed by Jokic. So Jokic is down to 4. Last week he was rated number 2, but Tatum has been leading it this season.
See, how is Anthony Davis not above Giannis right now?
Oh, you got
I
to
mean,
take team record into consideration. The Lakers are still 11 and 15, so
I mean, I
can't be the
get
most
that, but then if
valuable
you
if
want to
your
play
team
that game,
sucks.
you said Steph Curry was on the list. They're not doing too good.
They're still positive though. They're still, you know.
currently speaking, Steph Curry is not in the top 10 rankings for MVP.
Okay, who was the top 10 then?
The top 10 consist of. Hold up. A random ad popped up. So the top 10 consists of Tatum leading, and then it goes down to Giannis. Then it's Luka. Then it goes to Jokic. Then it goes to Ja. And then 6th is Booker. 7th is Mitchell. 8th is Kevin Durant. 9 is Anthony Davis. And 10 is Zion. That's the top 10 right now.
So you could even make an argument that Donovan Mitchell shouldn't even be in that list. Like, he started the season like a house on fire, but now that Darius Garland's back, like, it's sort of taken a bit of the sheen away from him. And also he's not putting up the numbers because he doesn't have to now.
I agree on that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of other people that obviously should be on this list. I mean, where's Shea? I mean, that dude's been balling. He still is balling.
That comes back to the point I just made about Anthony Davis before. Like, you can play awesome, but if your team sucks, like, you can't be the most valuable.
I mean, yeah, but like, obviously his team sucks, but he's still putting up crazy numbers to where, you know, I feel like he should at least be higher than Zion. I mean, he's obviously been playing better than Zion, but his team record just doesn't show it.
Zion has been picking up a lot of steam in the past week or so, just because Ingram's been out since the end of November. But yeah, I don't really get it. Like, I've been watching the Utah game versus the Pelicans today, and I've just seen him drawing offensive fouls. Like, that's it. Just charging into people. Like,
That's all Zion does. I mean, he's a rim runner. Because if that man was able to, you know, shoot the three and, you know, like make a 33% clip, that dude would be really insane.
like even now, like, I've got some numbers sitting in front of me, like, of people that I potentially would have in the MVP conversation, and he's the least of the points. He's pretty much last in the read.
Yeah, I agree. No, I have nothing to say to that. I agree on that.
So going on to our, you know, next point and all is, you know, the free agency offering. So, I mean, Sam, I know you had one that you wanted to talk about.
Who, me? Oh, Carmelo, yeah. I don't know why he's not in the league. I really don't understand it. He still can shoot. And it's been proven, like, with Ray Allen in Miami, you can have a shooter come off the bench. And he's okay with that role now. I don't know why he's not on the team.
Yeah, I mean, you could use him for, you know, a lot of different reasons. I mean, you could put that man with, like, a young team to be that veteran. I mean, he's not like, it's not like he's going for that starting role, that star player job. He's just trying to, you know, play. And I mean, you would think, you know, the Lakers would pick that man up, especially since their shooting struggles have been still there. I mean, it's gotten better. It's still not good.
Yeah, no, I'd argue with that because, I mean, look at case in point, Vince Carter playing for Atlanta for all those years. You know, he was already way well past his prime and he can shoot. Carmelo still got gas in the tank. That's proven when he went with Portland, and then it was proven when he was with LA. He just needs a good coach, good team, like you said, good structure around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, the free agency pool this year is it's got a lot of name players in it, but they all they stick out to me as all having some sort of deficiency, which in the modern NBA won't help them. Like, there's a lot of big guys that cannot stretch the floor at all. There's a lot of point guards that can't stretch the floor at all, and then there's a lot of defenders that just can't shoot, and that's the one thing we know about the modern NBA you need to be able to shoot. And so a lot of these players that are on here, like, that's the reason they're here. You know, there's a reason they're free agents. But there is a couple of names that stick out to me. I know you guys mentioned Carmelo, but you've got the likes of, say, Kent Bazemore, Nemanja Bjelica, even an Avery Bradley. Like, these are guys that I think could still contribute. You know, they might not even be in your top 10 players, but say there's an injury happening, they're not fine.
Yeah, I mean, looking at, current free agency lists, I mean, obviously we know LaMarcus Aldridge isn't on a team. I'm assuming that man's done. I think he was, pushing it last year. I think he's probably done this year. I haven't heard much out of him. I mean, has anyone else seen anything out of that guy?
No.
If I'm judging by what I seen last year, I'd say it's done. Same with people like Paul Millsap or, Eric Bledsoe. Like, yeah, they're on the list, but I don't see them
The
coming
Taiwan
back and
legend,
playing.
Dwight Howard.
That was a surprising one. I'm really surprised that Dwight didn't get a team. Hey, he showed he can shoot some threes last year.
Yeah.
I mean, he
This
knocked
list
down like
here.
one in 100.
I'm surprised with Lance Stephenson, too. He's still pretty young. Well, even Isaiah Thomas. But, again, it goes back to, like you said, the modern NBA is bigger boys that can shoot.
Yeah, well, even like this sort of crosses back to it. Like, obviously, Carmelo's son played yesterday against Bronny James, and that's one of the doubts that people have about Bronny James is his size, and he's 6'2". So what are we expecting Isaiah Thomas to do in the modern league? Like, he's what, 5'11", 5'10",
Yeah,
or
exactly.
5'9", maybe. I'm not quite 100% sure of his exact height, but I know he's not 6 foot.
No, he's
Yeah.
5'9".
I mean, the 6'2" is pretty much the equivalent of like 5'9" back in, 10, 20 years ago. Because, like, now at all NBA teams, I mean, if you look at this the current Thunder team, I mean, they're literally building a team of tall, lengthy dudes as their entire starting five. I mean, you got Poku, you got Shea, you got Josh Giddey, you got Chet Holmgren. I mean, all those guys right there are all like, really, really tall. I mean, Shea's like 6'7", Giddey's like 6'5", Chet's 7 foot. I know Poku's 7 foot. I mean, that's just the way the NBA is going. I mean, and if you're 6'2", you might be, one of the most skilled guys in the league, but it's still going to be tough for you to be having to guard a 6'8" player every night.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not just like you mentioned OKC, but there's a lot more teams. Like, look at the Toronto team that they're running out. Like, yeah, you've got Van Vliet, who's a regulation size point, but you got Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Precious Achua. Like, yeah, you can get past Van Vliet, but good luck scoring over those trees.
Yeah. I mean, especially since all those guys you mentioned are above average defenders, to say the least. I mean, all those guys, they're not necessarily DPOY candidates, but it's going to be hard to score on them. And, it's going to be hard to guard them, especially if you're an undersized player. And, I mean,
That's
a
the thing.
few
I
other
think
names.
Yeah,
A
go.
few other
Sorry.
names I see on this list, Ryan Arcidiacono. He may never have really been that good, but isn't he like 6 foot? I mean, he's out of the
So,
league.
a
DJ
lot of the guards
Augustin.
that I've got written down are just so undersized, and then gets back to that other point that they can't shoot, most of them.
Yeah, if you're a 5'10" dude and you can't shoot in this day and age, you're China talent, straight up. Go say hi to what's his name, OJ Mayo.
Dallas into consideration, and the fact that they else besides Luka to handle the ball, and even then, like, they just dropped Facundo Campazzo, like, and he's a
Yeah.
great ball handler. Like, he can't shoot once again, but So obviously, even the team that's crying out for ball handlers are like, no, we need somebody that can actually shoot the ball, and that's why they've given Kemba Walker a chance.
And I mean, another player, I mean, obviously he's still on a team right now, but a guy I'm going to be afraid for in like, a year or two is going to be Ricky Rubio. Because I mean, he's a definitely below average shooter. He's a really good ball handler, but what else does he really have?
I think more so with Rubio now, it's more so what he can teach the younger guys. Like, even if he was fully healthy coming into this season, I didn't see him getting much playing time behind Garland and Mitchell. Anyway, so I think they're more so using him just for his smarts. He can still defend. Oh, he was a decent
Kind of.
defender.
I mean, we've all seen the video of him guarding James Harden in the playoffs. It's hard to get behind that man's defense.
No, but he's not a sieve on defense, is what I'm saying. I never said he was a defensive player of the year candidate.
That is true.
He can put in a bit of effort. He's a smart player. Like he's in the right spot at the right time, and he's sort of got that Rondo effect. Like I'm not even trying to compare him, but he is an incredibly good passer of the ball. So that sort of trumps everything. I mean, if you're a decent passer but you can't shoot, yeah, you're not in the league. But Rubio's something better than that,
I mean, that makes sense. And one more player I see here on this list, not necessarily a guard, but a guy who's been bouncing around the league for quite some time, Trevor Ariza, not on any team right now.
Really?
Yeah.
He had links to LA,
Yeah.
so that's surprising too.
Yeah, I've got him on my list as well. I don't know if it's maybe age. I think he's 37 now.
He's 37. Yeah. He's been in the league for 18 years.
All I remember is his Kings run, and he was atrocious for us.
I mean, that man's been on a team every different year. Like he just bounced around everywhere.
I think it'd be a mixture of age and injuries. Like these last couple of years in the league, he's really injured, like all the time.
But I mean, whenever he was around, he was good. He wasn't a burden. I mean, he's probably a good pickup for a veteran minimum. Especially to teach a few guys.
Even looking at that, though, I don't think there's many teams in the league that are looking to fill those spots or that need to fill those spots. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of any team that's like, yeah, we just need this veteran shooter presence on our team. Like Philly needed it in the off season, and they addressed that by signing PJ Tucker. Like Milwaukee can never have enough shooters around Giannis, but they picked up Ingles, so he's injured, but once he's back, there's another shooter. All those teams, like maybe a Miami, but they've shown that they want to develop guys out of their own system.
Yeah.
I think maybe I think maybe that time for like picking up, those guys on the vet minimum to just come in and fill a role might be passing. Like you're seeing a lot more teams gravitate towards taking guys from the G League that are young, that have more upside potentially if you give them a role. Like look at the Lakers with Matt Ryan. The Lakers could have easily gone back to Kent Bazemore or a Carmelo Anthony or a Trevor Ariza, but they went with Matt Ryan to get in the camp. Didn't work out for him in the end. But hey, they got that game winner, I guess, to take the overtime. Not really a winner then, but they got that shot out of him that took it to overtime. He had his moment.
Very true. I mean, and more evidence behind your point here is, Dwight Howard and DeMarcus Cousins going overseas. I mean, it just seems like, a lot of teams are going away from that multiple veteran presence. I mean, for a young team, you might only need maybe one or two guys who, could teach them the ropes. And I mean, most of those teams already have at least one of those guys who have been there. So I mean, it's a really hard spot to fill. You just got to be lucky and pull out, Udonis Haslam, who is actually in this game we're watching.
Still not getting any minutes.
Very true. I mean, he did get minutes against Tatum.
To be fair, anybody that looked like they could play has been getting a game for the Heat recently. They've had so many injuries. Like, there was a point, I don't know, say a couple of weeks ago, where they literally had to say Gabe Vincent was playing and put him in a jumpsuit just so he could sit on the bench to fill out the minimum requirement of players. So,
Well,
if you're a fan and you look like a player, you'll probably get the game for a Heat that night.
See, why can't Carmelo play for the Heat?
That's a good idea, actually. I bet they'd probably take him, too.
I don't think he'd fit into their culture.
He won't, but, might as well sign him for that injury reserve. I mean, the player I'm thinking of here on the Heat, who hasn't been getting necessarily the most playing time anymore, is Duncan Robinson. I mean, once he signed that contract, he was playing, 29.7 minutes a game. And, I mean, he was putting up, 13 and a half, but he's fell off. And, I mean, he's now only playing 16.7 minutes a game, and they have that man for how much money?
Well, that's the problem. I think that's part of the reason why he's not getting the playing time. They're still angry about giving him all that money because he has been atrocious since he signed that contract.
I mean,
his shooting has just fallen off a cliff, and then you double that with the fact that Strus and Vincent and Caleb Martin have all stepped up.
Really, the whole team.
Yeah, there's not much time. There's not much time for him, like, especially with the age profile of that Miami team. Like, you can't, let Duncan Robinson be shooting his way out of a slump. You got to get it done now. Like, they need to win the next couple of years before they're paying Jimmy
his career. His career field goal percentage is 43.1%, and his 3-point percentage is 40%. This season, he's only shooting 35% from the field and 30% from three. I mean, 30% from three is garbage. I mean,
I reckon last year it probably would have been worse.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you cannot be a 3-point specialist and be shooting 30% from three. You need to be kicking that up. That's, like, very inefficient. I'm assuming he's probably taking a good amount of shots, too.
And that's the other thing. Not only is you need him to be hitting the threes, but if he's not, he does not defend key ability on that end of the floor. So if he's not hitting shots, there's no reason to play him. And this season and last season, he just has not been hitting shots.
I mean, he was a consistent starter in that 2020-2021 season. Started all 72. Started 68 last year out of 73, and now he's only started one game and played 15. I mean, we've gone through, easily over like 20 games of the season so far, and he's not even playing all of them.
Most teams are close to 30, yeah.
So, yeah, he's not even playing most of these games. I'm assuming they're probably coach decisions. I mean, you cannot be playing like this. It's just 19 games played. I was looking at his rookie season by accident. He's played 19 games and started 0 of them. I mean, that's not even good. He's shooting 4 threes a game, only making 30% of them.
I honestly think last year was Miami's chance, and I don't think they're going to get close again. The East has just gotten too strong. There's so many teams. I would argue the East is deeper than the West now at the moment.
At the moment, yeah. I mean, a team that I know is, rather deep in the East as well. I mean, the Bulls, the Wizards. I mean, both those teams, from what I'm concerned, I don't even think they're in the playoffs or the play-in. Yeah, both those teams aren't even in the play-in. Because, I mean, your bottom teams that are technically in the play-in game is like the Pacers, the Raptors, the Heat, and the Hawks. I mean, it's really hard to beat those teams out.
The Bulls is the surprising one to me there. Like, I get they haven't had Lonzo all season, but
They didn't have Lonzo last season either.
can he honestly make that much of a difference?
I mean, obviously he's probably going to add a few games, but I would assume he's not adding, more than like
I think
4
their
or
biggest
5
problem
wins in a season.
is they got Patrick Williams back, and he just has not shown any like what people thought.
He's really just another Royce O'Neal.
Their offense just does not work. It's almost like high school basketball. It's like Zach LaVine will have a turn, then it's DeRozan's turn, and then if neither of them can get anything going, I will give it to Vucevic, which is it's not going to work.
I swear to God, every time I've watched a Bulls game and I see Vucevic shoot the ball, he's missed. I've yet to see that man make a shot at all in my history of watching the Bulls. So, I mean, obviously things aren't working for him. I mean, 11-15 on the season, 2 games behind the Heat to even make the play-in.
I did see some rumors going around that potentially they might trade DeMar. But
I mean, I've seen a few rumors.
Like, he's 33. Where's he going to go?
And, I mean, on that high of a contract, your really only comparable option is, Russell Westbrook? And we all know damn well that ain't happening.
Like,
I mean, Ben
they're
Simmons.
not going to be able to take. Still got LaVine, still got this, even if they get rid of DeMar. So, I like Tank. Like, they're stuck. They're like basically in basketball purgatory. They're not good enough to win it, bad enough to get picked. It's sort of the same situation with the Wizards. Something has to happen with either of those teams. The Wizards aren't going anywhere.
There's news from Shams from like about a day ago now, so it's a little bit old, but the Lakers are trying to pursue a potential 3-team trade involving Jay Crowder and John Collins. And I'm assuming Westbrook would be thrown into that conversation.
Or Beverly.
So, I mean, we know that these trade talks are happening, and I mean, one of the big ones is Jay Crowder this season, as he's refused to play for the Suns. I mean, I don't actually know why. Does anyone know why?
Because he was upset that he wasn't going to be a starter this season because Cam Johnson took his spot.
Boo-hoo.
But then I don't understand the whole thing. Like, Cam Johnson got injured, so just come back and be a starter.
Well, they give him that chance first, I guess.
Yeah, he's acting like a baby, honestly, if you ask me.
He's acting like fucking a Pippin right now.
So, I mean, obviously, that's a guy you want to get off your team if you're the Suns. Preferably
that's not
before
necessarily the guy you want on your team either.
Yeah. It's just a locker room hazard right there. So, I mean, if you could dish him off for, a team that's trying to trade people. I mean, John Collins has been on the trade rumors a lot this year.
Yeah, but now you're thinking about where's Crowder even going to fit. It doesn't even make any sense. He's tainted.
It doesn't make sense, but I mean, if a team's desperate enough to take him,
so there's plenty of players like him in the league though, like that are just sitting, stuck on the bench. Like you look at like a Torian Prince, like he has been playing for the Timberwolves, but you could be giving that guy more minutes.
Or the guy for the Pelicans that's breaking out right now,
Alvarado.
Yep.
He's a point guard though.
But I'm just saying, like you're saying though, you got people coming off the bench like a Caruso, like people from G League. They're just blowing up. There's no point when you're gonna put a guy like Crowder who doesn't want to play in the game, like an Iguodala did the same shit.
If I was in any team situation and you're looking at signing Crowder or trading for Crowder, it just gets back to like what we're saying, like when we were looking over our free agency list. I mean, you've got Jeremy Lamb sitting there with no contract He shoots threes, can play a little bit of D. I mean, it's basically all you want Crowder for.
Yeah, I'd rather take Carmelo. And even if
Yeah,
I mean,
that's it.
there has to be an obvious flaw of some kind that we're not seeing about Carmelo, because if he was really as good as he was last year, obviously someone would have took him at this point in time.
But that's the thing. He wasn't even really that good last year. Like, if you look at his home and away splits, he was awesome at home games at Staples or Crypto, whatever you want to call it. But then when they played on the road, he was a brick machine. Plus, also, I think Carmelo's that type of player, like how Westbrook is at the moment. Like, he won't put his ego to the side. He needs a certain amount of minutes, a certain amount of playing time, which teams just can't offer him now. If he was going to come back into the league, it'd be, yeah, we don't need you to play at all tonight.
well,
Hey,
Chicago.
we might.
I mean, yeah, but like you got Chicago that he could probably start for. You got
I
Miami.
mean, I don't even think Chicago would take him back. 'Cause, I mean, but Chicago, had Carmelo Anthony off of, I think it was that Thunder trade. He ended up on the Chicago roster, and he refused to play for Chicago. So Chicago just dropped him on the free agency. And that's when that man was originally getting blackballed from the league.
But I think he came out, like, he was interviewed after the high school game yesterday. And I think he's at peace with, like, not getting picked up again. So I don't think he's not really pursuing a trade or, like, a sign. Like, he's not pursuing trying to get picked up. So it's, at his age, teams are probably, like I said before, just, we can find someone in the G League that can shoot threes and they're going to hustle on defense. Like,
Well, and they're going to hustle in general because they're trying to get a contract.
exactly. Like, you're not getting that from Carmelo. He's just going to stand in a corner and shoot jumpers. That's about all you're getting from him now.
Yeah, it's not like he's playing to stay in the league for the next 10 years and provide for his family. He's already done that. His time's been.
Yeah, he did sound pretty content last night. Speak about how he's able to develop his son and the fact of the potential of his son going to Syracuse.
One other thing I think that's worth bringing up while we're on the subject of Eastern Conference teams is Detroit announcing that Cade Cunningham is out for the season.
Oh, that's a good one. So, yeah, personally, I had him in fantasy basketball. I was very, very disappointed to see that injury come along. And I knew it was going to come down to surgery, so, I got rid of him as soon as I could. So, it's very tough, especially for the Pistons team that, was thinking about potentially, running for a playoff spot this year, or play-in spot at least. So,
Yeah,
obviously,
I've been really disappointed with Detroit this year. I expected a lot better.
yeah, I think everyone was excited to see him, make a run at it. But obviously, goals have changed. Your star player's out for the year. There's no reason to go for the contention spot anymore.
Even before the injury, Cade wasn't lighting the world on fire. I'm pretty sure all his numbers were either about the same or down. I know
Looking at Cade's stats here, yeah, he hasn't really done much since, last year. He did put it up to about 20 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, but he was only put up, 2.5 or half a thing towards his stats improvement. He really was not, substantially better at this moment in time. But, I definitely saw, I think we all saw that Pistons team was starting to win a lot more games.
So, I guess the only thing you got to caveat that with it's only his second year in the league.
Yeah, everyone knows about the sophomore slump. It's a very real thing in the NBA. Scotty Barnes is going through that right now. It's it's a little tough, but that Pistons team was doing really well. And it was not bad to even watch their games, but it's just sad to see it happen. They traded for Bojan in the offseason. They got rid of Jeremy Grant. they were making moves for the future to, set their team up for this year, but it's not going to happen. I mean, obviously, I don't think they're going to drop down to Wembanyama levels, but I mean, I think
they might.
I don't think they will. I think a few other teams have that in the books before them.
Well, if you look at them, like as of today, 7-22 is their record, and they've got some room to move. I mean, just looking at their roster, they can move on Bojan, Corey Joseph, Alex Burks, and Nerlens Noel. Like, that's 4 pieces right there. The 28 or over. Noel's 28. The rest of them are over 30. You should be able to get stuff back for them. All it takes is another little injury or even make up an injury, to, say, a Sadiq Bey or Jaden Ivey and just shut him down for the season. Like, I think they're prime Wembanyama contenders.
I mean, I could see your point, but I mean, we still have, teams like the Magic to consider, the Rockets to consider. I mean, who else could we... Hornets, we could consider them. I mean, if we even think about this a little bit, could you imagine a Hornets team with LaMelo Ball contending for Wembanyama and getting him? Could you imagine seeing a LaMelo Ball, Wembanyama duo right there?
I don't think it'll work as long as they've got Steve Clifford as their coach. Whatever the Hornets try is not going to work.
Well, I mean, obviously, I think if you're going to pick up a guy of that caliber, you're probably going to end up, making some moves in the front office, making some moves in the, roster.
They'd want to because they drafted Mark Williams last year, who was probably the highest rated, besides, Chet, I guess you can consider a center. But Mark Williams was considered the highest rated center coming out of that draft. And he is not getting any playing time whatsoever. I mean, they're playing, Nick Richards is their starting center?
Nick Richards, he's also been...
The dude is 28. He's 28. He's been a end of the bench guy his entire career. And now all of a sudden he's getting to go. Like, when you look at the rest of the team, that's not what you want to put around LaMelo.
Also, update, our game did in fact end of Miami Heat versus the Bulls. The Miami Heat did in fact win 47-40.
Called it.
In
You
overtime.
did in fact call it. In overtime, yep, very true. Ray Allen, 10 minutes, zeros across the board. Not bad. Let's see, who else? Highlight. Steve Kerr, 9 minutes, zeros across the board.
No attempts either.
Yeah, no attempts. I mean, Ray Allen was 0 of 3, so I mean, both these guys here, prime cardio right now. Tony Kukoc even did better. Michael Jordan, 20 points. That's not bad. Dwayne and LeBron added up to 28. So, I mean, there you go. There's your answer. The Heat would, in fact, beat out this... The 12-13 Heat would, in fact, beat out the 97-98 Bulls in a hypothetical scenario here. Assuming that Ray Allen drops absolutely nothing.
I love that 3-point percentage.
Oh, yeah.
11%.
2 of 9, 1 of 9 there.
Who's the only one that made it 3?
Let's find out.
Probably LeBron is taking like every shot.
Chris Bosh.
Figure.
So, yeah. Let's see. Scottie Pippen made a 3.
So did Ron Harper.
Ron Harper. Kukoc, 0 of 7. I didn't even look at that.
8 for 21 for Jordan. Look at that. So they tried running through Jordan. That's easy. You put LeBron on Jordan.
I mean, the more you look at it, like I've watched a lot of those Bulls games, so I know how it works. But when you look at it on paper, those teams, it's literally Jordan carrying the load. Like,
Exactly.
It blows my mind that they, like, considering how stacked some of the other teams in the night. Like, I mean, it just goes to show what credit on that guy's name.
Yeah.
Jordan,
Jordan.
give him the respect. Jordan was a hell of a player. I'm not gonna deny that.
No one can.
But
I
it
mean-
comes down to like prime Jordan, prime LeBron. Who would you put on your team?
I mean, it really just depends on, your situation.
Screw them both. I'm taking Prime Dirk.
Fuck that. And let me go with Steve Nash then.
Well, either way, this is at least your first look at Skippy Yank and the Tank. And obviously, make sure y'all, give us some feedback. See what, if you like something, tell us that. Or if you don't like something, tell us that too. And, alright, well, I'm the Yank.
I'm Tank.
And I'm Skippy.
And peace out.